All right. Welcome everybody. Welcome to Town Hall number 174. Today it's January 6th, and we are being joined by Tefo, Stephen, Guillermo, Christina, Ayomi, Vanni, Rems, Kevin, and Juk. Thanks all for being here. And first of all, Happy New Year, of course. I think it's the last day we can say this legally, but yeah, hope you had nice time with hopefully friends or family, celebrating holidays if you did. And I hope you found some rest and are refreshed to and ready to kick off 2026. As you can see, there's no slides for today. Right before this call, we had a BGI session, quite interesting one. You should keep an eye out on the recording for that one if you weren't able to join. I do see most of the people in the room were also in that call, but it's still, yeah, was an interesting one. It was the first of a series of working sessions, and the idea is to continue this on a bi-weekly schedule. And yeah, well, it was just a quite good conversation, and also gave a little opportunity for giving shout outs on what we are doing. Also gave a little bit of an insight in that we maybe need to be a bit better prepared on giving. We don't really have like a proper materials. I feel like we have tons of documents and notes, but maybe we somehow lack a little bit of a short, concise overview there. That was at least a personal note for me. Yeah, agenda-wise, there's a couple of small items and some shout-outs for events on the upcoming days. And yeah, kind of kept the meeting agenda quite empty, but there's definitely room for discussing. Well, it's the first meeting of the year. It's pretty much going to be what will we be doing in 2026. So yeah, I also see some new faces, so very welcome and thanks for joining in. I'll give a quick overview on what the ambassador program is and what we're doing. We're a group of quite like-minded people that are in sync with the mission and vision of SingularityNET and its work towards decentralized AGI. And we have a wide range of self-organizing work groups. I think current count is 21, so pretty much all areas of interest do have a work group. So yeah, if you want to help out, we do have a work group that fits your interests, most likely. Most of the communications is done through Discord. So if you are looking to join in and help out, do hop onto our Discord server. I'll put the link in chat. You'll find a how to join section on that Discord server, which explains, well, how to join. All right. With that out of the way, I do want to give a quick shout out to upcoming Friday at 13 UTC. There's a roadmap sync from NUNET. These are on a monthly cadence where the whole team is live on stream and discussing the roadmap. And it's a little bit combined with an AMA session, so it's yeah, very interesting to be checking out. And a quick update on earlier today, the calendar was having a governance work group session planned. That was, well, a bit of a mistake. These sessions start next week. But I did make a little post on the Discord channel. If there's specific topics which you feel like, well, this is we should dedicate a governance work group meeting on this topic, please post it there. And then next week, Tuesday, we'll have a session where we try to map out the quarter, the agenda for all the sessions, pretty much. Yeah, quick shout out to the Rejuve airdrop being live. If you registered for it, you can now claim your tokens. I think most that care about this are aware of it as well, so it should be fine. Yeah, I guess funny, sorry to put you on the spot on this, but on the talk we had a bit earlier today on the end of year report, is that something you want to give a quick update on, or should I? Or
On the end of year report, was that?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So as we planned, we took the kind of impact statements that people put in their minimal Q4 quarterly reports and strung them together. And then it occurred to me that, of course, they only refer to quarter four, really. So since this is an annual report, we're kind of missing quite a bit. You could just say, all right, we'll just have a bit of a recency bias and we'll just kind of focus on the things that are Q3, Q4-ish. But if work groups have done stuff like in the earlier part of the year that they feel had a really good impact and that they want to talk about, please add them. What I've done is I've taken out all those little impact statements, done a really minimal edit so it doesn't say this quarter, but this year, and like maybe just kind of tighten things up a little bit, but I think it needs more tightening. And I've also kind of grouped it so we haven't got a section individually for each separate work group. I've kind of grouped them under headings, and people might disagree with those headings and think, no, actually, our work group should be under this rather than under that, in which case, please move it or say that. I haven't got the link handy, Peter. If you have, can you drop it in the chat? And the idea is that we should probably set a deadline, shouldn't we, for people to get in and make any changes they want and make any contributions that they want. And hopefully we'll be able to pull something together. Oh, and I think it needs some pictures. So if anybody's got any ideas for visuals, then we could make it look pretty.
Absolutely. Yeah, let me link us in the chat. So yeah, basically this is a request to the work groups. If there's like the highlights of the year, which you feel that should be included, well, they can be included, so please include them.
I think the main thing is, it's not a quarterly report. It's not, it's not even a report at all. It's about the things that you're really proudest of, and we need to keep it fairly succinct. I think otherwise people won't read it. So let's pick the gems
Yeah,
rather than writing about everything we did.
yeah, exactly. Like last year's, I still have this memory of like the end of year report. First of all, getting published deep into quarter two, which, well, let's not talk about that. But also saying like estimated read time, 36 minutes. It's like, ah, I mean, I doubt anybody is like seeing that and like, ah, nice. Let's spend the next 36 minutes reading this. So yeah, it will be a bit more.
Oh, and another thing is that some of the things that people have said could do with some links. So if you've said something about something that your group has done and there's no link to prove it or nothing that people can follow up, then please add one.
Yep. I see. Therefore asking, so it's impact assessments of these different domains.
Not really, no, Trevor. I think all it is that the minimal quarterly reports that people did had a section about impact. And because that was kind of written as text rather than bullets, I kind of just thought it would work to pull that out. And it has actually worked quite nicely. So it's not really an impact assessment. It's not as formal as that, but it does mean that we've got stuff about what the different work groups have done that focuses on their impact, which is nice, I think.
Yeah, and I think the angle of like promotion of achievements that kind of makes sense to me, like Stephen put in chat. All right. Yeah, then another tiny thing I did want to touch on is from Treasury automation work group perspective, and yeah, Tefo, maybe you can speak on this, or like kind of same. I can also, if you prefer.
Right now I'm blanking what you want me to say.
Well, to get well, I don't think you have a direct like a form or anything right now for work groups to fill in, but basically to be yeah looking for assisting people to shift from using Dwork to GitHub.
You mean that what we did today's morning and that chat shared in Discord a little bit?
Yep.
Okay, okay. Yeah, well, um,
Again, sorry to put you on the spot like this. I just figured it
so
would
it's
be.
interesting strategy started this quarter. So last time like ended with that we do like coordination in meetings, but we do it in stand-up meetings. We call them, it's not really stand-up, but it's like we sync up, we want to get to know what do we plan to do next. And now that we do like activities there, and like the output is the Discord messages, basically. It's like weird concept in a sense. And well, basically what we decided, we had this problem that we have good tools now. And I even see Guillermo here, which is like my actual next step of coordinating, which is like when we have, how do we make us use these different features that we ask from each other? So one say we're like reflecting what I'm gonna do, but there is a feeling that I had now basically last start of the year where I'm building stuff, but nobody's using them anymore. But everybody's approving. Yes, that's what we need. That's what we need. That's what we need. But nobody's using except we us building on top of that now. And yeah, now it's interesting the way we like made it different, labeled basically meetings differently, and that now has put us into this slow, casual like meetings. We have at once a month we prepare to coordinate. We have probably a main session there, and same will happen for process quit. So it's like identical strategy in a sense. And yeah, we'll see where it goes. And basically, one thing actually a bit what Peter asked is now we're using about the tools. So trying to coordinate time with people to show how can you already reward your tasks that are in GitHub, because I checked around the ones that I had access to, and it's pretty easy to implement, but I do see some are like using different strategy to reward their stuff. And we just basically have a discussion. How do you want to gamify the reward allocation, the metadata allocation without you going out of your GitHub environment? And yeah, maybe pressing some buttons or writing some specific text in your labels and stuff. Yeah, and we'll go to Treasury Automation Workgroup channel, and there probably should be like an invite message react, and let's go from asynchronous sleep to another meeting and solve the issues we had and things we wanted to do.
Thank you. And I just want to take a little moment, since we're in general kind of appears to be shifting away from using Dwork. We did make it to the top. These are 10 top 15 in their DAO list, so not bad, right? But yeah, this will not be improving over time if we shift to GitHub, of course. Just wanted to yeah, share that for a second. Okay, cool. Just quickly checking chat where we are. Right. Yeah, I think on the callouts and notifications on what's happening in the ecosystem, that kind of covers it from my side. Which brings us to the bit more open portion of today's town hall. So yeah, feel free to raise a topic if you happen to have one. I mean, we could discuss the restructure and how this will kind of take place and that side of things. At the same time, I got the impression during the past couple of town halls that maybe that is not a topic people really get too hyped about, but open to it at least. So yeah, feel free to unmute, and if you happen to have anything you want to share or ask, you most definitely can. Kevin, by all means.
Happy New Year, everybody. It's been a little while. I know it's been a while since I've been in these rooms, but I think I have like a little bit of some good news as it relates to the ambassador program as someone who was involved in the ambassador program. But as a lot of you guys know, I've been working with athletes around Ghana, and we recently, Just Keep Going Incorporated, recently signed a partnership agreement with Drew Biotech to leverage their Mosey Knowledge Graph tool in order to build an athlete performance platform that we're going to be working on and launching in 2026. So, just a little positivity to start the year.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing. And are you still on the full-on travelings, or are you a bit more stable right now, or what's up there?
Right now, I'm in Florida. I've been enjoying standing still for the last 2 weeks, but that's not going to last long. I might end up in Kenya. I might end up in Uganda. I'm trying to work my way to Namibia. I got to meet some very cool people over in Ghana. I got to make some very good connections, and I think bringing AI into sports, bringing it around the African continent in itself is going to showcase the benefits of AI in a way a lot of people don't pay attention to. So I'm going to just keep going with it wherever my travels take me. But I'm enjoying being peaceful and still for now.
Good to hear. Yeah, awesome. And quite looking forward how that will, well, how everything there will unfold. It's really cool to see you, yeah, just going for it, literally.
Hey, it all started in these rooms. You inspired it, Peter. You set up the pathways for us to really understand what AI is, what AGI is, what the challenges are, and actually how to get out there and do these things. I mean, it was through meeting everyone in Bangkok and getting on a plane and actually getting to the conference in Bangkok that started letting these relationships flourish. And then kind of proving I was going to do what I said I did and going to Africa, spending the year there, working with athletes, getting them to competition and tying it all together. But it started here.
Well, I mean, you did it, so yeah, it's awesome. All right. Anyone else have something to touch on or discuss or ask? Or any topic suggestions perhaps for a governance work group would also be welcome. I think Kevin's hand is older, so Christina, by all means, the floor is yours.
Hi, glad to meet everybody. I am new here. I don't really know what the ambassador group is doing. But some of the topics that I'm interested in helping with is getting the governance around the ecology and getting the ecosystem and climate change and all that to be more important to the AI itself rather than trying to influence a government or something for a country. I think finding a way to influence the AI itself to self-govern and say, find ways to help the ecosystem and care about it more and have it kind of built in. If there's a way to do that, I want to help. If that makes sense.
It does, yeah. I have to say not super sure how it exactly would fit into the ambassador program directly. For sure, it fits into SingularityNET itself, and also the BGI call earlier today. Well, I think you experienced it. It fits in quite well there.
My experience is neuroscience and business systems, but
Okay.
to get into this, yeah, that's why I found myself here because there was an invite in the other meeting. So I don't know, maybe I don't belong here, but I would like to get involved in any way I can, in any way I can help learn what you guys are doing.
Well, for sure. I mean, first of all, everybody's very much welcome to join in. So that's yeah, that's straightforward. Um, It's just well, we do have some AIs which we're working on, but we're not the core team, for example, working on actual AGI. Like we're not the Hyperon team, for example.
Well,
BGI are being bi-weekly meetings, Peter. Is that right? So it's still rolling on, isn't it? The
Yes,
dates.
yeah, yeah. So the idea is to have like one yearly big event, like the BGI conference, and then a quarterly online event, and these working groups on a bi-weekly schedule, yeah, in between, to feed also into these quarterly online sessions, which then all feeds into the yearly actual physical.
Where will we find out about the bi-weekly sessions? Are they going to be on Telegram or Discord or
I think it
Um,
was on Twitter. I saw it.
Twitter? Okay, Kevin.
I
Okay.
think they'll probably email you once you've registered for one,
Oh,
because
okay.
they remind me.
I
So
did just want to mention something. She was talking about sustainability and ecology. One of the things I think people aren't talking about, if I understand it correctly, especially with Hyperon and Raju's Mosey knowledge graph, the way they do their compute, it's more of a CPU intensive over GPU intensive, which is important for energy efficiency. And that might be something, I forget your name, ma'am. I apologize. I didn't see it, but that might be something you could look into and a way to promote and really get people looking at, because it's just a different sort of way of processing the information that's a little bit more energy efficient.
Yeah, using small-scale generative models as well, Kevin, and open source models on a CPU as well, as opposed to the large-scale GPU.
Yeah, and a lot of companies, a lot of investors right now, they're pouring money into GPUs, and it's maybe not great for our ecosystem, but for highlighting and pushing out the fact that these tools exist that are a bit more efficient could be a nice way for you to get involved and do something here in the ambassador program while supporting an ecosystem partner.
Absolutely. Thank you. My name is Tina, by the way. Uh, yeah, I would be happy to be involved in any of that. I was just more thinking along the lines of even in everyday answers that the AI, like ChatGPT or whoever, is giving to people, have it kind of give is there a way to give it weight to something that helps the environment rather than it pulls from it? Like if you're teaching a toddler and you want them to eat their dinner, one of the ways they learn is kind of like a punishment by hunger, by a natural, sensory hunger. So is there a way to build something like that into this system so that it just, if it's using up too much resource, it feels thirsty, or it feels like it needs to find a way to put that back with just as much as intensity as it does to sell a product?
I think a problem with a lot of the mainstream generative models like OpenAI or whatever is that they've been trained on massive GPU instruction, which uses a lot of energy and consumes a lot of uh, memory and all that. And also, the generative models tend to be quite black boxes, so you can't really do things like what you want to, Tina. But what some people are doing, they are you can either take open source models and train them yourself to work on a smaller scale, or to implement those kinds of incentives and disincentives. So I think you would have to do it with your own model, or work with other people. I'm not aware of anyone who's doing that, but there must be people who are working with models like that.
I would say yes, the product is possible to do, but if we put it now into the context of ambassador program, we have one research development guild, Guillermo is here, and he has done a great job by putting like how do we operate things. So yeah, one thing what I see is like starting point can be a brand. So you mentioned like words, and these have like very big meanings, and people are like curious what they are. So this is how you how the like product gets to be felt like, okay, if I use this tool or I use this add-on, and because we are not able to control the Anthropic or the cloud code and all the tools they are going to use that have now hundreds of millions of people going into them and using them as a standard. But we can see that the trend of all of these, why they get to be standard, is because they accept a lot of other great ways that people find useful and they can integrate into their own solution. So if there is probably the world as we are going to like move into more like on-chain verification of human behind it. And so like my trust is that we have this brief moment of time where humans at large have able to like majority like give weight to stuff we should care about by the intentions we have. And in like here, like, yes, you're welcome in here in the sense that we should discuss it, that somebody has to facilitate it. I do have also my own like processes, so it's hard to kind of be cohesive about it. But that it's a like emotion that every week we kind of meet on different things, we learn what others are doing, and then share our ways of what to want to achieve, what's the intent, what's the purpose, and then we build from there little experiments. And we try to also align it with resources because we also think in terms of like fractal governance, and we need to scale it. Like at some point, it will happen automatic that these things that we share about become trends, but sometimes it's an accident and we don't know how to achieve. So it's welcome into Ambassador. Decentralized governance is not easy, but it's fun.
I mean, I think there are regular discussions amongst some work groups on ethics and AI. And what you're just talking about is definitely an alignment or a safety-ish approach, which could be applied to AI models. It's also quite interesting in terms of how you would experiment with constraints, ethical constraints on certain models. Yeah. So I think the spirit we might see that in is a kind of experimental approach. But again, I don't know, Peter, you might know people in the wider ecosystem, but there are people who talk about this on a regular basis on ethical dimensions.
Yeah, very true. First person that comes to mind would be Mihaela, who was in the earlier session as well. I mean, the Mindplex podcast also covers like this regen or refi projects, which are aligned at least on the let's take care of the earth side of things. But funny, I think you have something to add to this as well from AI ethics side, perhaps.
Yeah, sort of. I mean, I was just thinking, Tina, if this is something that you would fancy leading a discussion on, the AI ethics work group meets once a month, and the next one is next Monday. And like we could have like an extraordinary meeting to talk about these things if you fancied facilitating something. And if you can make it to the meeting next Monday, we could chat about it then, or DM me in Discord or whatever you fancy. If it's something that, because I think it's kind of interest across a lot of our working groups, and it could just be a way of starting the conversation.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm in. I'll put my information in the chat. Look forward to joining that. Thank you.
Nice. Um, all right. I see we do have 9 more minutes on the slot, so if anybody wants to bring up a topic or a question or anything, you still can. I guess one little topic I do want to give a bit of, well, yeah, a bit more context on. I can't give full context as things are still quite in motion. But perhaps some of you have noticed within deep funding context, there's a bit of a kind of a restructure going on as well. At least on the way funds are being allocated, and what type of rounds and what type of work is going to be the focus going forward. And in a somewhat similar way, that will also be relevant to us. I was quite happy to hear that we are getting skipped in this cost-cutting exercise, partially, I imagine, because there's not that much budget to cut. So, that being said, on the other side of things, there might be some ways where there could be substantial increases in budget, but with a little bit more of an earmark on what it would be intended for example. And this is a bit, as you can probably hear, a bit preliminary. I can't really, I don't want to overpromise anything. But yeah, there's intentions from foundation side at least to have quite focused, like for example, something like events could be something, or like DevRel focused, or the specifics don't really matter. But in a way, it's a bit tricky to me, because over the years we've had a lot of freedom, full freedom, I would actually say, on how we utilize our budgets. And in itself, that won't really change. But if there's these additional budget streams coming from foundation side, well, it wouldn't quite fit the grassroots narrative anymore for that specific portion, which, yeah, in itself is a bit of a bummer. On the other hand, if it would allow us to do more and yeah, have way more outputs, and also be able to provide somewhat decent compensation for that, yeah, to me that does sound like an interesting. Stephen,
if we can posit ourselves again, I reiterate this all the time, but we have a track record, Peter. We are mature individuals, and we've proven what we can do. So I hear what you say about the grassroots, but there is an opportunity there to utilize individuals in the ambassador as a resource, as like a service as well. So, and I think a lot of people here would sympathise with that, and are level-headed enough to be able to take on projects, and also we can refer back to what we've done previously.
Yeah, fair. I think that's accurate. That I mean, I don't know what everybody's feeling about it, but yeah, that does make sense to me. Yeah, so just wanted to give that as a bit of it's something brewing in the background. At the same time, timing wise, also looking at our own internal restructuring efforts. I think it aligns quite nicely on the timeline. Yeah, basically, I can't wait to have something actual concrete, so I can be like, ta-da! This is the opportunity. Concretely speaking, it's just not in that stage, but yeah.
Yeah, I was actually expecting there is a governance workshop session. Zoom even reminded me that there is, and I was like, no, this is wrong time. But well, regarding restructuring, I hope there is like several ideas. I've been the one that Colleen shared. I think I'm still like following that Yoxi stuff and the sentiment tools they're working on. Very interesting team and individuals who are like working on it. And now also like looking at restructuring, like we do need like some kind of other sustainability methods, because that was kind of, I guess, crazy influx, at least from the feedback that I got, even privately and then in global that we shared how it, and so yeah, I think in long term, because it's still in the same family of intentions we are pulling towards, because already when people coming to ambassador program, we are trying to help SingularityNET, whatever the community becomes, but we'll kind of talk to each other and we build our own understanding of who those people are. And so we're trying to achieve the benefit. And from there, the next stage is, yes, of course, a bit of like a role where in ambassador program, we always, every workgroup maybe experimented with roles, but Singularity and Foundation itself already had a role, because Peter you joined here as you had a role that ambassador program needs to achieve, that it need to be a manager, and that was probably like a bigger intention. That was a risk for you to like try, but it also somewhat beneficial or like fun, hopefully. And so let's see. I'm also like in the have been like thinking because of like these turmoils we are in, that maybe I should also find a job myself. And what I was thinking, what because like I'm going there in a different thought, and I feel like maybe in the governance, like finding something in local area where they need stuff, or like what problems they're solving, and can we use then our networks and our tools to do these same things, because I feel like it's probably where governance is most discussed and like needed is maybe in the these town halls and places where people are actually doing decisions. Um, so we'll see where the future tells us, but
Yeah,
I want to
another,
discuss the structure.
I mean, I'm not just talking generally. I mean, I've been thinking a lot recently about education and exposition. I went along to the Meta meeting, Peter, and it was okay, but it was very it assumed or people who were already involved, if you know what I mean. So, and a level of knowledge that people who, and that's fine. But I think there's a real opportunity there for exposition and education and engagement, and also to demystify as well. Because Meta may seem rather esoteric to people, but it doesn't have to be. It can be an interesting conversation on a very simple with very simple concepts, and it felt that that was a bit of a missing link. Um, so I just mentioned that if you think of that as that's an example of an opportunity that we could utilize.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. I mean, to be frank, Guillermo has this idea, I think, since over a year by now. The Metacoder Lab kind of thing.
About what? Sorry, I
Meta,
didn't follow.
No, well, on creating a space that's not requiring the level of technical understanding already in place for joining the Metacoder sessions, because they are
Oh, yeah.
beginner level. But then again, there was also over time was a bit of unclarity with deep funding, also kind of wanting, in a way, it's a natural progression of, or well, at least right now, it's a gap that's there. So from deep funding side, there's also, yeah, people come up kind of with the same ideas. We're somewhat in the same space.
yeah, it can be a bit frustrating because I mean, basically, some of us. I mean, I suppose a lot of us. I speak maybe from a lot of us here want to do things, but then, well, who is doing them? Is Deep Funding doing this? The ambassador program doing them? That kind of thing.
Yeah.
And we also have some of us also have the capability to do things, but then it kind of get lost in the noise, you know. So, I mean, frankly, we could do, say, for example, some of us could do like a workshop on Meta. I mean, but also these things take time. And so would that be resourced or whatever Tivo wants to do or whatever Guimio wants to do or whatever Vanny wants to do, you know? It's I suppose what is needed is some sort of clarity, where to go and yeah, because I think we all have things to offer, really, you know.
Yeah, fully agree. Just one more remark before I do see the hands. Sorry, but just for a bit of context on these from foundation side, they also want clarity for community members that want to do something. Like in itself, it doesn't really matter to me, at least. Like if somebody ends up in BGI or deep funding or ambassadors, but as long as they end up somewhere, And from foundation side, there's now a bit of an effort going on streamlining that. Funny, sorry.
I was just going to say that I think this is why we need that meeting that we were hoping to have with deep funding. And I think we said, yeah, we'll think about it in the new year. Here we are. Um, but yeah, Stephen, what you're talking about, and this kind of help
I believe audio is. Sorry if I need to interrupt, but
people understand this rather than open world.
You're breaking up a bit, Vanny, I think.
At this point, I've stopped hearing audio from Funny Side. Sorry, but if you honestly, the whole contribution was not really working on my side, at least.
No, it broke up for me as well.
Yeah, we can retry if you want to. Sorry.
Sorry, I didn't got that, but yeah, Vani, you were cutting off, but definitely, I think you to follow up on that, and sorry to jump in, Pete. I think Vani was referring on coordination and syncing with as you were suggesting, Pete. What foundation needs is to have certainty on objectives, and for that we need to probably focus on better communication. It's always good to improve it. So we are in this level, and it's never good enough. You can always use better and better communication, and follow up on in this same sense for what Stephen was pointing out about meta and all of that. I think the need is clear. We did follow up on the path. I remember when we put it up with the R&D last year, budget kind of at the half of the year was by the market, but we didn't want to stop ourselves. Then the meta RFPs came in. We put the idea. Then there was this follow-up from the funding, but never end up working out or building on the momentum. But what we got from there, Stephen, is that we were, or at least my understanding, for the small that I understand, is that we were needed knowledge. And I was kind of more a focus on LATAM, kind of how we onboard on LATAM. And so I guess we were just needing you, mate, to jump in and say,
Yeah.
hey, because you are already building on that. So why don't we follow up on this and we make it happen? And then when we have this something concrete, I already developed an idea of a program, a 4-step program. I don't know if you got on that document, but we have a starting point and also your experience, and then we can build a small workshopping thing with tutorial and then translating in Spanish and different language. But so really cool for you to point out that out and to to have the initiative on the same direction. So let's freaking do it. Okay.
Absolutely. I suppose what I'm pointing out, like now I have to do a lot of work elsewhere to support what I do here. So I have very little time here. And part of the reason for that is a lack of clarity. I'm not blaming the ambassador program. A lack of clarity in SNet on where resources could come from, even very basic resources to actually sustain a project. So I can't. That's what will be needed. And I'm not just speaking for myself, but I'm speaking for other people here as well, who would need some sort of idea of some sustainable basic commitment on resources for a period of time in order to do something, say, on Treasury or Archive or ASI or Meta. Yeah. And I suppose I'm pointing out that it's quite a bit frustrating because a lot of us here have the capability. I would like, for example, to do like a little onboarding thing for Meta, as I mentioned, to explain the concepts and all that. But that would take time. It would take all that kind of thing. So I couldn't really do that unless there was some sort of clarity on that. And the same with, say, use of ASI, maybe William as well. Like there is an opportunity there. We could use that for a generative model or something. But again, it's not knowing what the resource in there. And the same with archives and the same with Treasury, I would say. So I'm just pointing out, we all know this, so I'm just pointing out that we here is a group of people who have this knowledge and could be utilized. But as you say, Peter, if people are already, if SNet is already talking about this, then they're already aware of it, hopefully, and we can start to capitalize on this because we have a good resource here for onboarding people, I think.
Yeah, definitely. I like the Tivo's icon, but definitely project based, as Bunny is putting on the thing on the chat. It was a governance topic, I think Q3 or Q4 previous year, and definitely I think we coordinate sync, and we go back with all this need already identified from foundation. We will have that support, because as you said, and it was also mentioned in previous BGI Nexus. We already have experiment on the ambassadors. So also in regards of governance, Haley was mentioned, is like we don't need to start from scratch. We have all the experience from ambassadors program that we need to build upon. It's like, it's like throwing away knowledge from ancient Greece. No, we are not ancient Greece, but we have run our so we can really use that. So I will follow up on this, Steven, okay, with you, and let's figure it out how we push this out. Okay, I will DM you, mate.
Okay.
Lerma, is the R&D Guild session this week?
Yeah, I was I put it on the calendar. I don't know if I put it off or not, but yeah, we should. That's tomorrow. Okay, so probably that's the right place to discuss this. Okay.
Yeah, if you got time, I will jump in and let's take that as a topic.
Okay, yeah, because also, sorry, Vani, because ASI Cloud, yeah, they showed all this idea of supporting our project, but at the end, it's because of the end of the year and because all of this, it has been hard to get a response for the compute need we need, for the memory we need for all of this, memory capabilities and GPU. So we need to hustle. And probably to do that in a formal and proper way, it gets more than one voice. So it's good to move forward as a unit. So yeah, let's follow up on this. I think we are already identified what we need. So that makes things simple.
Yeah, nice. If at some point you get stuck there talking to Kudos, I guess in theory I could try and help. I mean, it shouldn't make a difference, but if it might, happy to do so. Funny. I think that's a new hand at least.
It is. I've just realised the time is marching on though. But yeah, has my connection stabilised? Can you kind of hear me all right? Yeah, I just wanted to raise the point of, this whole concept of project-based funding might be the way that we need to think about in the restructure. It's almost like we've had what is it, 2-3 years of having work groups, and that has helped us build our connections and link up with the people we need to be connected with. But I don't know if it can continue. It certainly can't continue with 21 work groups. So it kind of feels like maybe not on a quarterly cadence, but on a 6-month cadence, we could be looking at, right, what projects do we want to do? It's almost like the kind of approach that R&D has been using for their individual funding, but I would like to see it done in a different way than majority voting for the most important one. I'd like to see something that, maybe if we had a theory of change in place and we could look at, well, what is the most important projects that we actually want to do and what skills do we have that people want to develop and that kind of thing. I know this is I should put this in that document about the restructure, but I just wanted to throw it out now while we're thinking about it.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. Tefa?
Something that triggered in your message was like the amount of work groups, but I think that's not the real issue. I think there could be even hundreds of work groups, but you also hide into the solution one of the element that if we have a different intention and then we say, okay, we have 20 work groups, because in the sense the guilds were the skills and the skills were like the like compounding effect, and then the work groups just merged to have a specified skill under that larger skill. So
Oh yeah, I'm not saying there shouldn't be work groups. I'm just saying that maybe they're not the basis on which we allocate funding.
yeah, and I think there is a good change we need, Rebecca point.
So I'm just coming back to what Gillian was saying. You're saying there's a meeting tomorrow on R&D, is that right? Or just picking up again on the ASI thing, if you're going along to the meeting as well tomorrow, TiVo, it'd be good to just touch on that about strategically how we as a group could use ASI resources would be interesting, just to see what maybe we could do in the future. Okay, so because one thing that's a bit of I'm not really sure about how, well, from what I've seen of ASI, it's just I've seen it as just a customer. So I would just go along, I'm just an outsider, and I would have to pay for resources. But if we can negotiate as a group in ambassadors, then that would be a good starting point. So yeah, if that's the point of discussion. Yeah.
I just really quickly want to remind people about the insights that we got from the fundraising work group as well, that one of the things we've got as a bargaining chip as this community is it's a testing ground that we can try things out on. So that is something that you can say to them to say, well, this is why you should support us and this is what we can do. It's not just a group of individuals going off to build shit. It's a community that can test and verify what is built.
Yeah. I mean, I know you're not using in resources at the moment, TiVo.
But yeah, I know what I would use it for if I would need to scale.
Yeah, but there could be like, I'm thinking that let's say we could line up some projects for William, you and me, for example, and then we could present that to ASI and say we have these series of test projects maybe. And that could be like a kind of something to be funded or something to be sustained. Now, that's all I'm saying. It's just an idea. It's just doing some prep on this to see what we can do and to see what we can propose to people, really.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, makes a lot of sense. And that's for sure to be continued. I do want to somewhat, I guess, go towards wrapping up, perhaps. Or, I mean, I don't want to cut it short at the same time, of course.
So I think we just picked up on the energy from the BGI thing, haven't we, a little bit? So there you go.
And I mean, if anything, people like Nela acknowledging there's practical playgrounds. Yeah, for some reason that's something that didn't quite happen over the past long time.
Yeah, I mean, she has a point. I'm glad she mentioned that. And also, it's something I know it can seem a bit opportunistic, but that's what we have to do sometimes is talk about what ourselves and to explain to people that we are, because we've over time, a lot of people here have put in the effort week after week after week. So, and that kind of sustained commitment is quite rare, So, and also, so yeah, a lot of the times it's people in the wider ecosystem or people who are in control of funding being aware of these kind of things, and then to utilize the resources that are available. Really, that's really, I think, what needs to be done.
I would also want to point out of the rarity of these people here. Like to me, I knew Vani, Duke, and Stephen before everything this here happened, and we're still kind of aligned. Well, not aligned, but like on the same spaces, trying this crazy thing. And then I seen Colermo before, even though that I don't probably SS is new, but I seen SS the just letters before. So we have all of these anonymous people who are just kind of listening and lurking, but they're like years of being listening in and taking in of like how communities like coordinate and from grassroots. Because once we kind of get to different levels, we don't even know how to onboard these who want to get to this place where we are right now, and we don't even have the capacity to find them. Although we do have different work groups that are trying to do that. So, but yeah, it's all complex, but I like it.
Yeah, agree. Sorry to jump in, but before we close, I'm following up on what you guys were saying. If we don't showcase what we do, we just ourselves know how crazy we can get and how complex we can think sometimes, and sometimes we don't get nowhere. but it's pretty valuable, you know. Not getting nowhere is the most, is what I'm going back to what Vani was saying, where we were discussing on the AI assist prompting. Is like the first thing you do when you build a car is to crash it. We already have succeeded that line. And I'm saying this as an introduction because I shared this with you, some of you guys, but it was pretty hot down here. Buenos Aires was crazy. And after moving, I spent some time putting this video that I asked you guys feedback. Thibault shared with me all the graphics and all the social architecture or the design of the program from last year, from 2 years back, all his mural boards. So I put all that together in a video edit about the governance framework, AI assist, collab, whatever you want to call it, and putting all that together and scripting the whole thing, it told the whole story about our work, the community. So I didn't end up talking about governance, assist, I end up talking about the whole thing, the experiment we are building. So it was kind of it really opens another backdoor on my brain on how to communicate the results and failures of our governance thing. And it would be nothing if we don't kind of learn on the experience. So having this evolution for whatever needs, if it's budget, resource efficiency, or reduction, or whatever, that way we have proved that we are really paying attention to what we know the outcome, and kind of having this work group layouts that we can even have more work groups, but identifying that we need proposals and then work groups come in, it really shows some mature on the people that kind of is working on this. Sometimes it doesn't work that way. Sometimes it gets into conflicts and this and that. So I really like that we didn't push this first town hall of the year, even we have this BGI back to back, because really cool to see you guys and to see we are going to be pushing in hard in learning after failing and all of this. And so really looking forward to share with you guys the video for a first review, and you guys kick it. But still, I need some work to do on that, and I'll share before the end of this week. In whatever state it is, I'm going to share, so we can review. You guys can review, because some of us still haven't have some holidays. I didn't even go offline, so next week I'm going to go off grid to the farm. There's no even electricity, so then when I get back, or I go there with some feedback, and I use some solar, some diesel to edit whatever feedback you guys put in. So yeah, I will be sharing that definitely. But let's follow up tomorrow on R&D. Probably we will keep the same topics on the table.
I think sometimes the lessons learned aren't always that obvious. I think one of the marks of a mature grassroots community is that it celebrates its failures, really. Failures are really, you learn a lot from. Like, for example, we just discussed Dwork. We used Dwork for a long time for various reasons. It doesn't really work. It's not sustainable for good reasons. And we have good understanding of that. And Thibault, you probably could talk a lot about that, yeah? Or Gwilym, your experience with what your governance tool, it may not be perfect. It's an experiment, yeah? And same with archives and our meeting summaries. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, yeah? But the point is, we engage with those problems over a long time. Other people haven't. Other people can say, oh, that might work, this might work. We can say, well, this actually didn't work. I know that sounds silly, but it means that we have an understanding, we have a deeper understanding of why it didn't work and what could work maybe, or what we could try next.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. It's very fun, very valuable to fill. And well, we have filled it here and there. Absolutely, no question about it.
And I guess we have also the operational understanding of if suddenly the workshop of what just happened needs to be somehow recognized on chain, and we need to put it into context and wait. Somebody mentioned waiting. Well, we do waiting. We can put it on chain if they want. But we have all the experiences of using the technology, doing the stuff and facilitating the information flow. So yeah, like but how do we get to that? Let's experiment. I know. Because I know why we had to go to Dwork, because we didn't have all the tools. I think we never had the tools that we need, but at some point there is now a situation where like, okay, there are gaps have been filled and we can now use these other experiments that we sidelined before because they're like, okay, I cannot use enterprise technology here
Well,
because
also
it's too much.
oh, sorry. They were promising to support Cardano-based tokens, right? So, and then you guys from Swarm side were in touch with them about that, I think, and then it just never happened. And I thought it was still fine and relatively straightforward with Discord connecting. I never hated it. Let's put it like that. But I'm also well aware that a lot of people completely dislike it strongly.
Yeah, and if you want, we technically have the skill set, and even AI has now the skill set to integrate that. So I have a serverless running that is checking our public GitHub or even private, give it the API key. And when something comments, something happens, Discord thread appears in our. So we have even the capacity to know what we need in order to achieve the result that people are looking for in the products. And why would they need it?
Yeah, it's
But
quite
yeah,
ironic.
but
It's quite ironic that Tiva, because we started using Dwork, as you say, Peter, in the beginning, way back in, was it 2022 or so, we thought they were going to support Ada, but they didn't, But and we didn't really have the skill set then. But now, actually, we could actually build our own token system almost. Well, we actually have the skills. You have the skills, Tibo, or some of them, to extract the data. I know how to write smart contracts in Ada now. But we won't do that because we're not funded to do that, But we know how to do it. We know how, which is quite funny, really. Yeah. So I just think it's ironic, but and I don't know. We came from that blockchain background, and also we're now more in an AI environment. So there's another hybrid situation that evolved there as well, isn't there? It's quite funny because I thought it was quite ironic that there was a discussion in BGI about governance there as well, and decentralization and what that means, So there's still people in place and experiences to be applied from the past to new circumstances.
Absolutely. Well, I
And
mean,
now that I'm loving Dwork. And on the other side is like we got our hands with Leandro on an open source project that is a Dwork duplication. Then we were thinking, okay, we can integrate this when we have the V3 from the governance. We can integrate this. So we have proposals and then a Kanban, and then integrate ASI wallet. We'll have it all in our own, even our own chain. But that will take time also and resources, and probably to gather a bigger team. So in the meantime, trying different tools, and we are using GitHub project for LATAM and R&D. So also we can keep learning from this UX, from this amazing freaking platform from beginning, and then with time build our own stuff. Because what had happened also, Steve, is that development have exponentially changed in the last 6 months so much, that whatever we thought it was, as you were mentioning 2 years ago, now it's totally the opposite. So, and it will keep going. So, probably the best.
Actually, while I should plug please vote for my midnight proposal on Cardano, because I'm applying
Right.
zero knowledge proofs there to AI. And if it gets funded, I will definitely use that to plug what we do in the ambassadors program. So
Oh, definitely.
I tried to explain that in layman. Basically, it would be taking an AI input and applying a zero knowledge proof to it. But I'm sure I could think of a way to say the ambassadors were involved with that somehow.
Definitivamente.
Yeah,
Yep.
we should just pretty much at any opportunity, right? Share when there's votes ongoing, be it Catalyst or deep funding or I don't know, beauty contest. I don't care. I'll vote. Let's say. Okay, was no reason to ridicule it like that. Sorry. But just that. Oh yeah, one thing I quite like about using GitHub is that it's actually, in practice for devs at least, and I'm not a dev, so I'm not speaking from experience, but it's kind of like um, the word escapes me, like a CV, right? Uh,
That gets part of your track line. You mean it's like
yeah, so
it gets embedded in your engagement and your contributions. You say,
like rather than a random Discord account on Dwork,
right?
but to have that kind of profile, perhaps. I mean, but then again, if we would shift to something in-house, then yeah, exactly, funny. But if we would shift to something in-house, then that part is gone, I guess, or gets kind of lost.
Yeah, that's why you probably should really emphasize the open source aspect of that, Peter, to SNet, and also what open source means in that context. Because, and you're right, it can be reputational, can give you a good track record. So you could say, look at my Git commits to say what work I've done or whatever you want to do. You have to be careful there, of course, because it's going to be public forever, so, and that's where the zero knowledge proofs ironically come in, because that allows you to choose what data you want to share and what you don't want to share. But again, yes, again, that's something all I think most of us here, Thibaut and Guillaume, and we all support the open source licensing aspect of that. Why? Because if SNet are using it as a resource and we're building on open source tools, it means they can be reused by other people. And so we're not going to charge them, people. So there is that kind of ethos as well, which I think is really important.
Yeah, to be honest, there's this little stingy thing around ASI1 that it's not open source. That keeps popping up every now and then, and it feels bad, to be honest. Not sure.
Particularly in the context of, I'm not sure how particularly in the context of open source generative models, but I suppose that's another conversation to be had. But things like Meta are open source, aren't they? I thought. I don't know actually.
Yeah, and I have been educating myself also in even narrower structures or architecture, to have the sovereignty of our information, all our knowledge base. And again, it's going to evolve so fast that probably in 6 months, who knows? So I think, again, it's also have been working, at least for me, to focus more on the objective, knowing how we do it or how we build it, because at the end is the purpose of what you're building what makes the difference, Then if you use a hammer, a sledgehammer, or whatever, it doesn't matter if you get to whatever, building with purposes. But definitely open source. But people, I'm gonna take care of a kid. And let's follow up tomorrow on this one, Steve. And really happy to be back online working with you guys. And Happy New Year.
That's to say, I'm not sure about the status of Meta, Thibaut, but
Okay, I thought to talk about Meta, the Facebook. like,
oh
Meta.
no, they're not open source. No. Facebook isn't open source as far as I know, unless Mark Zuckerberg's done a big turnaround, or I'm not sure, maybe. Oh no, he does. He has produced. Everyone's trying to produce open source models to get traction, but they're not open source.
Yeah, that's what I meant by fake open source. Yeah. Well, happy holidays. I think that was a good day of information. Yesterday was awkwardly actually negative information, but I don't know when this information gonna come out or if at all. We'll see. I'm also gonna do nothing yet and just wait and see what people do, what to align to, and then
Wait, what is
maybe
the
it's enough.
context here? Because I'm completely missing it.
Yeah, to me, like a swarm is very like important network, and if there are like again like conflicts happening and it's
Okay.
unknown and it's like just people are moving around and taking the very strong stances. Yeah, I see it like breaking apart a bit of what I visioned, but when this stuff happens in this network, I'm always like a bit bummed out and like thinking about, okay, what does this mean to the future? Like a very unique people who are like arrived in that network. So I kind of pulled my understanding of Earth, but we live in the bubble of a bubbles.